going with a sectional wind. News Center 22 starts now.
Local news, weather, and sports. Produced through the combined efforts of the students, staff, and faculty of Vincennes University's electronic media program, this is News Center 22.
The Tea Party candidate Christy Risk is making another run for the 8th District congressional seat, now held by incumbent Republican Larry Bucshon. Good evening for News Center 22. I'm Danny Taborn. Risk lost a close race to Bucshon 2 years ago. Risk spoke last night with members of the Vincennes University Constitution and Liberty Club. A staunch supporter of the Constitution, Risk believes that the federal government and its agencies have created so much red tape it's difficult to get anything done. Risk says a perfect example is the EPA blocking development of the Keystone Pipeline that would have created jobs and helped reduce our dependency on foreign oil.
The Keystone Pipeline should never have even been a negotiated deal. That should have just happened. And we need to protect our energy sources here in the 8th District. Coal is a big thing. We have 3,000 years worth of coal that we need to protect. So I think the main thing that we need to do is fight back against the EPA because it's the overburdening regulations that are hindering our energy development.
VU Club President Marcus says the organization membership encompasses the spectrum of political parties, including Democrats, Republicans, Tea Party, and Libertarians. He says the one thing they have in common is that they support strict adherence to the Constitution.
Supposed to be the guiding principle of our country for, 200 years. We've been leaving it alone for about 100. And we'd like to see us go back to it.
Pulis adds they hope to invite other political candidates to their meeting in the future. He says the meetings are also open to the general public. State police say a worker was seriously injured Wednesday when he was pinned beneath a burial vault in an open grave. The incident happened at a cemetery in west central Vigo County. Police say Brent Laubert was helping lower a burial vault into an open grave when the crane toppled, knocking Laubert into the grave and pinning him underneath. Laubert was trapped for nearly 50 minutes before the Sugar Creek fire and rescue department was able to hoist the vault out of the grave. Laubert, who remained conscious during the ordeal, was taken to the Union Hospital in Terre Haute with significant lower leg injuries. His injuries were not believed to be life-threatening. Indiana senators allocated more state money for victims of the Indiana State Fair stage collapse and full-day kindergarten as part of a broad spending plan approved Wednesday. The Senate voted 44-6 to approve the measure, which also reworks the state automatic taxpayer refund to require the state save more money before refunds begin going to the taxpayers. The bill now heads to a conference committee to work out differences with House lawmakers. The measure gives an additional $6 million to victims of the stage collapse last summer. The state has already paid out $5 million from an existing fund to cover lawsuits, but state lawmakers agreed that the victims, who are still left paying many medical expenses out of pocket, need more money. The spending packages approved Wednesday also allocates $80 million for school systems to implement full-day kindergarten. As it stands, the state sends grants to schools covering roughly one-half of the cost to begin full-day kindergarten. Lawmakers began working on the spending package after the state fund $320 million it mistakenly left in an untapped state account last December. Tonight is the opening night for the highly anticipated and promoted Clark Middle School presentation of Seussical the Musical in Vincennes. The show is tonight, Friday and Saturday at 7 p.m. and Sunday at 3 p.m. at Ader Auditorium. If you haven't gotten tickets, you can call 899-5857 for more information or go to our website at WVUT.org and click on the news story to find the link to the Clark Middle School website. The cast of Seussical cast numbers are around 220, including elementary students, set makers, as well as technical and behind-the-scenes staff. Winter is pretty much over from the standpoint of the National Weather Service in Indianapolis. Meteorologist Dave Tusek says they consider December, January, and February the true winter months when it comes to cold temperatures and snow in Indiana. Tusek says that this winter will turn out to be the eighth warmest on the record in the state. He says the average temperature this winter was 36 degrees, and we got about 9 inches of snow in central Indiana when the average is about 26 inches for winter. Tusek says they put the season in the top 10 least snowy winters. He says you can blame the warm winter on La Nina. Still to come on News Center 22, residents in Harrisburg, Illinois begins the process of picking up the pieces in the wake of Tuesday's deadly storm. We'll have the details and more to blame soda, and many blame sodas for the sugar kids are consuming, but they may not actually be the big culprit. We'll explain when we return. Stay with us.
All the young people, they started to imitate. They started to feel free. This was very dangerous. It was prohibited.
We had to believe.
You want some rock and roll? 3 rubles.
The Beatles did more to undermine the Soviet system.
This is something that hanged the Communist Party.
The Beatles changed the world and they destroyed the communism.
Beatles, 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 Beatles.
All you need is love.
How the Beatles rocked the Kremlin.
At least a dozen people are confirmed dead from a storm system that spawned tornadoes across parts of the Midwest. One of the hardest hit areas was Harrisburg, Illinois. Reporter Stephanie Martinez spoke to some residents who say they were just happy to be alive.
The radio, it quit playing music, and I heard that, and I sat up.
And I started feeling the trailer shaking, and that's all I can remember.
The early morning tornado swept through Harrisburg, Illinois in the cover of darkness, moving homes off foundations, crumbling mobile homes like paper bags, and tossing this tractor trailer like a Tonka toy. Semi-driver Wayne Poteet tells me he was in the big rig when the wind sent it on its side.
I heard somebody say, kick the windows in. I said, no, don't kick the windows in. Everything get wet in here. So I climbed out there and went in Walmart.
As Poteet found shelter inside the Walmart on Highway 45, Charles and Diane Turner braced for the hit. Diane Turner says before she could react, she found herself underneath a pile of rubble.
Next thing I knew, he was hollering, I was hollering, and I crawled, some way or other, I crawled out.
And still with no idea of what had happened to her husband. Now, if you can imagine, Charles Taylor was hunkered down on what used to be the trailer floor. Moments after that siren sounded, he found himself 50 feet from the home.
Angels was watching over us.
The Turner family was and is still surrounded by their immediate family, who serve as both neighbors and now cleanup crew.
My daughter lives next door. Her mother and father-in-law live across the street. My son lives a couple blocks over. Everything that way was, at least his area was okay.
Like scores of other families, the Turners are sorting through scraps of metal and broken furniture to see what can be salvaged.
Newburgh, Indiana is also continuing to clean up today after getting hit yesterday morning by what the National Weather Service says was a F1 tornado. Officials says the tornado carried about 70 miles an hour winds, leaving a path of destruction about 2 miles long and the width of a football field and a half. The killing must stop. That's the message from Kofi Annan, the newly appointed UN Arab League Joint Special Envoy to Syria. Secretary General Ban Ki-moon announced that Annan would be flying to the Middle East as soon as possible.
It's a tough challenge, and the first thing we need to do, as the Secretary General has said, is to do everything we can to stop the violence and the killing, to facilitate humanitarian access and ensure that the needy are looked after, and work with the Syrians in coming up with a peaceful solution which respects their aspirations and eventually stabilize the country.
U.S. Secretary of State Hillary Clinton told the Senate Appropriation Committee that Syrian President Bashar al-Assad could be tried for war crimes. The pressure on the Syrian regime mounted earlier this week when the UN Human Rights Council met to discuss a report saying Syrian government officials were responsible for crimes against humanity against opposition members. Google is keeping a closer eye on you. The company's new privacy policy takes effect today. The move merges 60 different privacy policies into just one for all of its services. From now on, when you search the web using Google, information will be collected and linked to your Gmail, YouTube, and Google Plus accounts. Google says it used the information to better customize your search results, and you start seeing more ads targeted to your preferences. Google says it won't sell your information to advertisers. Davy Jones, the lead singer of the Monkees, died Wednesday from an apparent heart attack. Detectives in Florida are conducting a death investigation but don't think that there was anything suspicious involved. A witness says 66-year-old Jones complained of not feeling well and had trouble breathing that morning. Fire rescues took the singer to the hospital where he was pronounced dead. Jones became a teen idol in the 60s with his popular show, The Monkees. It was about a band based on the Beatles. They broke up shortly after the show ended, but Jones continued to make music and appear on TV. American children are consuming a lot of added sugar, and most of it comes from processed foods, not sugary drinks. The Center for Disease Control studied data from 2005 to 2008. It found 59% of the calories from added sugar came from the foods and 41% from drinks. The study also found boys consumed more calories per day than girls. The CDC says it counted all sugars whether they were used in food preparation or added at the table. Added sugar can contribute to weight gain and other health issues. Starting March 1st, the same nutritional information we find on the foods on our grocery store shelves will also be most meats at the meat counter. John List has more in today's Health Minute.
The next time you shop for meat at the grocery store, you can expect to see something new. Nutrition labels. The same types of labels you already see on other foods we buy.
Important things like calories, protein, fat content, saturated fat, sodium, all those key pieces of information that people look at when they're making choices about nutrition and meal planning.
Since 1993, nutrition labels have been voluntary for many meat products. Now the USDA is making them mandatory. Here is a list of the types of raw meats and poultry that will now either carry nutrition labels on the packaging or have it readily available at the meat counter.
All ground meat and poultry, and then about 40 of the most popular cuts of meat. So chicken breasts, steaks, pork chops, roasts, things like this. 40 of the most popular cuts that people buy in the United States.
If you don't see the information on the front of the package, turn it over to look on the back. Some of the bigger cuts will only have the information listed on signs or posters near or above the meat counter.
The requirement is that it be accessible, that it be visible, and it be accurate for the consumer.
Meat products that have additional seasonings, flavorings, or marinades already come with nutritional information. Now meats without added ingredients will as well. For today's Health Minute, I'm John Lisk.
Well, I think it's safe to say that March has come in like a lamb today. But will the nice weather continue into the weekend? Cameron Riddle joins us now with the details. Cameron?
Well, Danny, I hope everyone got a chance to go out and enjoy this first day of March because the chance for severe weather will return tomorrow, followed by the chance for some cooler temps for the weekend. I'll have all the details after this.
I want some more.
What?
I want some more.
You are an ingrate, Twist.
Come on, mate. Got you a live one, Faggy.
Hello, my dear.
My money! Stop that boy!
It wasn't me.
Smell a mystery.
I'm gonna get you out of here.
Oliver Twist on Masterpiece Classic.
Bill, what have you done to him? I ain't done nothing to him. Shot.
A child. This and worse happens to children every single day.
The boy is gone.
I have to try.
I said I wanted Oliver Twist dead.
I'm gonna get you out of here.
Thank you, Miss Nancy.
That's what Oliver called me. He called me miss.
There was a letter.